Good evening. Just gonna wait. Oh, okay. There's a bunch of people. So, I'm gonna continue on telling my story. I can't tell from anybody who's in here who's seen the lives that I've been doing recently, where I've been basically telling my story about being recruited to be a drug mule in Toronto. And I'm telling my side because I truly believe a lot of people already know the story. Well, they don't know the story, but I feel like a lot of people know what's going on. I feel like Toronto has a huge drug culture anyway, and I feel like people know either way. Tonight the topic is Orange Theory Vaughan. So I'm gonna try for real to keep this shorter because sometimes I do 2 to 3 topics per video and then I feel like it goes on too long. So I'm gonna try to keep it just to this story. So I decide I'm in the middle of being gang stalked and I decide I'm gonna go to the gym and get myself in shape. I decide on Orange Theory because they kind of tote themselves as like an executive gym, and if anybody knows anything about that gym, it's like having a personal trainer but in a group. So I can't remember what I was paying for personal training before, just one-on-one, which I really liked, but just to keep things economical, I think I paid $200 per month for Orange Theory, and I think I was paying $400 to $600 before for like a personal trainer. So I joined Orange Theory, the one in Vaughan. I'm gonna put the address in the YouTube video, but this is on Major Mac. I think there's only one in Vaughan. It's Jane and Rutherford, if I'm correct. Something like that. I'll no, Jane and Langstaff. Anyways, I'll figure it out. I'll put the address. Sorry, it's Major Mac and Jane. But I'll put the address in the YouTube video. Anyway, so I start there and they give you a wristband that basically, because they have a screen, like a TV screen that's up, and they give you a wristband that monitors your vitals. So your heart rate, like whatever. And their whole thing is you want to be in the orange. You don't want to be in the red because then you're working too hard and you don't want to be lower. So I join. The first session is decent. I'm there with some young trainers, some other people. And then it's like I start going to the gym at like a certain time each day just to coincide, and a certain day each week just to coincide with my work schedule at the mall. And I start going there and it's like every day on the board there's this one person there, Paulo. But I'm looking around the room and I don't see one person there every day. I don't see the one, like, okay, say there's 10 people in the class and every day you're seeing Paulo's name on the board. You're looking around and you want to see who is the consistent person who's always here. There's no one consistent that's always there. It's always different people. But this name is always on the board. I'm taking note of that. The second thing I'm taking note of is, listen, and I don't know for anybody else, wherever I go, be it school, be it work, wherever I go, I am not the one who's like jumping in the room like, hey, hi, everybody, how are you? It's not really me. Like, I try to just hang back a little bit to kind of observe what's going on, see everybody, and kind of get to know people. Every time I get on a machine, it's like a whole bunch of people just are around me. Now, I'm an introvert, so I want you to understand from my context of thinking. I remember back in the day when I used to take the TTC, when I was younger, if the train was empty and someone sat right beside me, my brain would be like, of all the seats on the train, you have to sit right here. And I know I'm not the only one that thinks that because I've seen memes like that before. I've seen like jokes on social media like that before. And even for me personally, like anywhere I go, like if there's a bunch of seats empty, unless I want to actually talk and make friends, I'm going to sit somewhere else nice and quiet. Now, at first I was like, okay, maybe I'm just doing the introverted thing and maybe, this is in my head. So then I try to be like at the very end of the line. So if there's like all the treadmills, I'd be like at one of the corners by myself, or I try to have space between the treadmills. Cause every freaking time they want to make conversation, and it's like you're running on the treadmill and somebody wants to start with the deep conversations and the, oh, we should hang out, and it's always let's go for a coffee and all this bullshit. Now, at this stage, I know I'm being gang stalked, but I'm new to the game, I'm new to the block. So I don't know everything yet. I'm telling you, down to the last minute, you learn new things about these people. These people are relentless. They do not stop. There's always a new freaking plan. Always. So, whatever. I keep working out. Then one day, I ask one of the staff, I'm like, hey, who's Paulo? And I remember there's this one Caucasian girl there. And I remember her because she has a stupid smile on her face. Let's not even psychoanalyze what I mean by a stupid smile. A stupid smile is a stupid smile to everybody. Everybody might have their own variation of what that means. But like maybe for me, you know what? Let's talk about it. Maybe for me, a stupid smile is like you're fake. Maybe that's what a stupid smile means. I don't know. But it's just one of those smiles where it's like this person's not genuine and they're deceptive. They're a liar. There's just something about the way she answered me because I was like, who's Paulo? She's like, huh? Paulo is, why do you ask? And I'm like, I'm asking because every day the board says Paulo and I don't see any consistent person here named Paulo. She's like, oh, it's just one of our members. I said, okay, and I left it at that. Following that day, Paulo ends up showing up to the gym. Paulo is, I want to say maybe late 40s. I wouldn't even give him early 50s because, some people age differently. I'm not going to go too deep into that. Some people I've learned not to add age to people because they age differently. So I'm going to say he's in his 40s. That's what I'm going to give him. I'm not going to say he's 50s yet. He just looks like a typical, one of those men that don't work out. So, they have an inflated stomach. He has beady eyes and he wears glasses. Paulo's coming to the gym, and Paulo in the first couple sessions, he looks irritated that he's coming to the gym, to be honest with you. He looks irritated. And he definitely, for somebody whose name is always on the board, he definitely is out of shape. Let me tell you something about Orange Theory. They will put you on that treadmill for 30 minutes. 30 minutes. And it's not going to be 30 minutes running static. It's going to be, we're increasing it every minute. Like, we're increasing the speed. We're bringing it back down. 30-second break. It's grueling. It's brutal. So Paulo can't even do the runs. Paulo's supposed to be here every day. Every day they said he comes to the gym. But Paulo can't handle the machine. And I got my eyes on Paulo because, one, that's kind of just how I am. Is I see things and I notice things. And I think most people who are quiet, that's just how you are. You see things, they pique your interest and you focus on them. Two, I'm like being gang stalked. So, I'm extra vigilant. So Paulo's there. He's struggling through. And I decide, you know what? I'm no longer because you can go on their website and you have to check in before you come to a class. So I'm no longer checking in because I can see I'm feeling claustrophobic now at my gym. So I go there. Paulo's bringing this black guy to the gym. This black guy, or actually, was Paulo bringing him to the gym? No, the black guy was already going to the gym by himself when I came there. And I remember what piqued my interest with this guy was he looks like my ex's dad. Like just a little Jamaican guy. Like a little, he looks like he's working out on his fitness. But this guy is very guarded. He doesn't want to talk to anyone. He doesn't make eye contact with anyone, anything like that. So, I must have brushed him one time, said goodnight, something like that. Very easy. Never had a conversation with him. but I could see that he was going through something. I could see that he was like you cannot get too close to him. And I think everybody kind of knows people like that, where their aura says like they're not interested. You can't get too close to them. They have a lot of guards up. So this passes. I continue going to the gym. There are certain points I want to remember. But I remember one day, so then I'm seeing him like one day leaving the gym with Paulo. Or he must have came in with Paulo, but there was definitely a day he was leaving with Paulo for sure. And that particular day, him and I ended up having a conversation because he was asking me about what bracelets I was wearing, what crystals I was wearing. And then I went into it and I was telling him like, these are the crystals I wear. And he was asking me what they mean because he also had crystals. I said, first of all, it's on the wrong hand. You need to switch it. So he switches his crystals to the appropriate hand. I'm going to go in another day about how all gang stalkers always have the crystals messed up. And I think it's not, I totally know it's on purpose. Once you know the meaning of things, you're going to see why. So anyway, I tell him switch his crystals. He immediately switches them. Then I say to him, you need a couple other crystals too. He's like, what? So I tell him the crystals and he's like fast with it. He grabs his phone. He's about to type it. I said, don't worry. I get a piece of paper from the girl and I write it down and I tell him what each crystal is for. And he's like, why are you recommending me like certain crystals? And I was like, well, because you have a blockage here and a blockage there. And he's like, how do you know that? I'm like, well, you're dealing with something. I could see it. He's like, he said something like, how do you know that? And it piqued his interest. And then we were about to talk more and Paulo started getting pissed. Like Paulo's like growling at the door. So Paulo looks at him, whatever his name is. Let's say his name is John. Paulo's like, John, we gotta go. And it's like, and Paulo's giving me attitude. So I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. So I tell him like, we'll talk later. Next time he comes to the gym, he's running right beside me and I don't mind because, you know, as much as throughout this entire experience, let me tell you, it really feels like you're in a jungle, for real. Like psychologically, it feels like you're in a jungle. And if you're in a jungle, you really have to rely on your instincts. That's how animals are. You have to rely on whatever you're feeling. And you do not have time to question if what you're feeling is real or not. As a matter of fact, like there's times, for example, if I'm working on something and I'm writing down a list of people I'm considering for something, and one of the names, I almost want to put a question mark next to it because I'm like, I'm going to see how this goes. Because normally, and I think most human beings, well, I'm not going to speak for most human beings. I don't understand human beings. I barely feel human myself. I'm being real with you guys. I don't relate. On God, I never have. I don't understand people and their motivations behind things. It makes it difficult for me to navigate the world. It's always felt like an impediment. But anyways, let's continue. If I have to put a question mark next to your name back in the day, I would want to observe how our relationship works. These days, as soon as I put the question mark, I'm gonna cross that shit out. That means somebody, something, some instinct detected something. We're not questioning it. Goodbye. It's not worth it. Don't care. No matter what money or opportunity comes with, don't care. So going through this whole thing, it's like there's some people that are just fine. And other people, they raise a red flag. And other people, they send off alarm signals, alarm bells. There is absolutely no action that accompanies this. It's not like somebody came and you saw like a gun sticking out of like their pants and you're like, oh shoot, that's a killer. It's not that. It's just something. It's something. They could just be sitting there saying nothing, but it's fucking something. And if it's something, then I don't want to know what the thing is. That's my whole thing, is I don't want to know what it is. But this guy just looked like somebody who was being abused. And honestly, he reminded of me in the beginning of being gang stalked. Completely guarded, completely nervous of people, in his head 100%. And he looked like he was just trying to cope with the whole thing. Like he was just trying to work out, trying to do his best. So anyway, we ran beside each other, whatever day. He's physically strong. We maybe shared a couple words, hi, bye, but Paulo put a end to that real quick. That guy stopped coming to the gym. And before he stopped coming, he like slowly stopped talking to me. And I could just see that the Paulo thing, the energy between me and Paulo was just, it was strong. It was like a strong face energy always from him. So I was like, okay, whatever. As long as, and this is my thing, I don't mind not being liked. Honestly, I don't even mind people talking bad about me. Like, it used to really bother me back in the day, but now it's like people are going to say what they're going to say, and I tell myself like I cannot control it. As long as it's not affecting my business or my children, as long as it's not something that I can sue anybody for. If you want to say you don't like the way I'm shaped, you don't like, you know, that I'm black, you don't like that this and that, hey, it's your prerogative. So I was already having the feeling, everybody knows this, like once you're in a setting and there's someone who doesn't like you, it's not enough that they don't like you, they need a team. So I'm like, listen, it's going to be a matter of time before management is going to start behaving weirdly, but it is what it is. I have to now bounce around times for classes, and I have to show up just early enough to ask if there's space in the class to be in the class. I can no longer have a routine with my gym because I will be flooded. The gym will be flooded with people, and I would prefer to be in like a class that doesn't have as many people. Again, I'm being followed all over the place, and I feel like I can't move the same as I used to anymore. Like I really feel like I'm in like a Tom Cruise movie. Like that's how the world around me is operating, and quite frankly, it is so scary. It would be mentally debilitating for men, so much less for me as a woman. So I'm still going to the gym. Now Paulo's losing weight because, you know, he has to come to the gym and he has to actually do the workouts because he's here. So now he looks like he's actually been coming to the gym. He's participating in challenges. He's on the Facebook, on the Instagram page and everything. That's where I got the screenshot of his face. Gang stalkers are mixy. Okay, they love to come everywhere and be up in the scene. Their job is to be the popular person. Their job is to be well liked. Their job is to love bomb. It is a strength in their mind, but it is actually a weakness in reality, and I'm not gonna go into why. But they love to come under John Ferrer's tutelage. They love to come and be the main person everywhere doing everything. Even the CIA will come into some place and be the person who's in the back, just observing, watching how everything goes. Maybe quietly manipulating, but they're loud and in charge. They have two flags like this waving, look at me, look at me. So, you know, Paulo wants to be the top dog. He's the co-owner of the gym. No problem. I'm there one day, and who's beside me? This one, I'm gonna call her black. I know Dominicans do not like to be called black. She's black to me. I don't know if she's Dominican. I don't know what she is. She reminds me of a black Dominican person. That's just the vibe I get off of her. Maybe she's a black girl. I don't know. But this girl's beside me, and I remember her face specifically from, I remember her so vividly. She was at a clinic. One time I went to a clinic in Vaughan with my daughter after work, or we left work early, one of the two. Actually, no, the mall was closing at 7 o'clock that time. It was during COVID. And we went to a clinic, and I was there with my daughter after school. And I can remember I was thinking about something, so my brain had drifted off. And I must have had some sort of expression on my face because I felt someone staring at me in the side of my eye. When I turned over and I looked over, it was her. Yo, you know when somebody's so in your business that you're staring at them for 10 seconds, you're looking at them, they're looking at you, you're looking for that. And it's then after a while, they're like, oh, and they look away. They don't even realize that you're looking at them. At the time, I brushed it off as perhaps someone who's just nosy, because this was before being gang stalked. This was when I was still with my ex, which goes to show, and I knew that I was already being followed from the time I was with my ex. I kind of strange things kept happening, but it wasn't consistent enough. And first of all, it wasn't just that it wasn't consistent enough, it was also just that I didn't know this kind of crap was possible. Like, it kind of just makes you feel like everything you see in a movie is possible. At this point, oh, there's my cat. This girl never wants to come on camera. Hi, Olive. It makes you feel like everything you see in a movie is possible, but I never thought that was possible. Like, every time it would happen, it was like I did what anybody would do. I just brushed it off. I'm like, maybe this is in my mind. There's no way someone's following me. Following me for what? It's kind of like when I used to think about if I was hacked. I would be like, hacking me for what? What are they gonna get from hacking me? Like, in your mind, you're thinking, how could this be worth it? Like, the only way someone wants to hack me is if they could get money out of it. I don't got it. So I'm really thinking, like, every time I'd be like, nah, this has to be in my head. There was one particular time it was very obvious. I was with my ex and I go, did you see that? And he just sat there like nothing was going on. So then eventually we just moved on with the day, and like we just left it alone, and we just like continued with what we were doing. And it was like, that's the kind of stuff that was happening. But it was like, it went from that, like trying to covertly doing it, to now they're doing it in my face. So back to Orange Theory. So one night I come in and I see this new girl there. And I come in, I politely say goodnight, and I say, hey, by the way, I'm just here because I pay my account with cash. Excuse me, I pay in cash, and I just want to give you my payment right now. Can you just check what date's coming out and when it's due or whatever? I don't know what kind of mood this girl was in. This girl flipped out on me. And I was like, whoa there. I was still in a very peaceful energy, I'm going to call it. And when I say I was in a very peaceful energy, here's what I mean. And I don't know if anybody can relate, because I'm going to throw this up on YouTube. When you're in a very loving relationship, it changes you as a person. Like, you get very happy. And the longer that relationship remains loving and happy and blessed, it's like the more you remain in that loving energy. And not just that, but it's like, I already have a very strong spiritual relationship with God. So it's like, everything in my life is just blossoming and improving. We just got into Vaughan. Did I move into the new house yet? Yes, no, I didn't move into my new house yet, but my house was being built, and like my kids were doing really good, and just like for whatever reason they weren't giving me any problems anymore. It's very weird for that period of time. And it was just like I just had no issues. So I was just happy. I was like, literally was like walking on a cloud every day. So when you live like that, and then, you know, on top of it, a lot of spiritual practices as well, I'm just always so peaceful, so that I don't really get the opportunity to react negatively to anything, even when things are bad. So it's like this girl flips out on me, and I'm sitting there like, I had to calm her down. I was like, listen, I don't know what happened or whatever, but I'm just here to pay my bill. I guess in her being the manager and her realizing her behavior, because she caught herself, me and her became cool. So then she's like, by the end of the conversation, she's like, hey, me and you, we should go for a drink, we should go for a coffee, whatever the case is. But it didn't give that sort of gang stalker vibe of we should go for a coffee. It was just sort of like, she's normal. And then we had a conversation on top of that, and she was just opening up to me. She was like, I just moved over to Vaughan, and you know, oh my God, can you guys quiet Olive down? What's her issue? She's the quietest cat. She doesn't say anything. I don't know what her issue is. I'm sorry, guys. But yeah, so I was like, she was telling me about like, you know, the guy she's dating at the time, and he's involved in things that she's not really supportive of, and she's telling him like, get out of it and whatever. And she just seems like kind of basically like a normal girl. I'm not getting any bad readings off of this girl. She's not coming off as weird. Like the assistant manager came off weird. Like Paulo is definitely freaking weird. You know, for me, it's just like, it's whatever, right? Fast forward, I realized like, yeah, there's definitely something going at the gym. The black girl that ends up beside me is the exact same girl from the clinic months earlier. And just to put a pin in this girl also ended up coming to my Oakville Place store. And she goes to me, and this will be another story, but I'm just adding it in here just to show how many times this girl's come around. She came to Oakville Place and she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I hope you guys don't shut down." And I was like, "We'll be fine. We have a contract." She's like, "You do?" And it was like she had concern because their whole thing was they had to get me out of all the malls. They had to get me out of all their contracts, and they hadn't done the calculation that I had a permanent contract at Oakville. So they didn't know that. So she looked concerned about that. So it's the same girl each and every time. Same girl. She's at the gym, she's love bombing, she's pushing. I eventually keep having a nagging feeling like I'm gonna have to leave this gym and like work out at home. I have a treadmill at home, I have weights at home, I might as well do it. The whole point I'm going to the gym is because I feel like I need a push for me to like do, get myself together. But it's like these people are making me feel claustrophobic everywhere I go. At all times, it's like I can't be anywhere by myself. I cannot have a moment of peace. They're always there. It's always weird. It's always watching. Anyway, I quit the gym. The manager is trying to keep me there at all costs. Like she's pulling like, "Please come back," like blah, blah, blah. They're calling me all the time. They're texting me. Finally, I'm like, "Listen, I don't want to stay because I'm uncomfortable." So now it looks like I might either say something via email, and now she doesn't want this to continue. So she's like, "Okay, no problem. We'll cancel you." She agrees to cancel. I confirm my dates and I say to her, I have a new, because she was following me at that point. The gym was following our social media and we were following them back. So she says, "Hey, your new location, I'm going to come see you one day after work." So she comes to see me. She's walking around the store. Everything seems chill. And I say to her, "Listen, I want to talk to you about something that's going on at the gym." And I tell her what's going on with me. I tell her that I'm being gang stalked. I tell her like it's a very scary situation or whatever. This girl turns around and like belly laughs. And by this time, I'm used to that. Now, I'm not sure what about the story is funny, but it's one of two reactions. It's either people are so terrified and they never talk to me again, like they ghost me, or they laugh because they think it's ridiculous. It's one of the two. And you can never tell who's gonna find it funny and who's gonna think this is terrifying. You can never tell. And not just this is terrifying, but it's like it's really concerning because like the things that you're talking about. And it wasn't until I was like re-listening to like some of my videos that I realized like just how bad of things that I've been dealing with for so long. And I think I have to a lot of the times because I take things one day at a time and I go to bed and I promise myself one more day and I wake up and I promise myself one more day. And I don't think about when it's going to end and I don't ask myself, I just say we're going to handle whatever comes up today. And that's how I've lived. So I haven't stepped back to look at all of it together. And it's like talking about all of that stuff, it's like I can see the panic in people who do take it seriously. What I'm saying, I can see the panic in them. And at one point I said, I'm going to stop talking about this because I'm going to start like losing all my networks if I keep telling people about this. I still have to do business. I still have things to do. It's like, and I think the people who would be more panicked is, let's say I had to tell the management at Oakville Place because I was losing staff. Like, yo, a girl called me from work and said she's leaving. I had to leave home and race to Oakville. She was crying, hyperventilating, snot running down her face, doesn't want her paycheck, doesn't want the money. Personally, I felt she was bullied to come and ask for it. She'd ask for it and then she'd ghost out, and then you text and email her to no response. And then it's like, then she'd come back again. She was fearful. It was weird behavior. This is how this girl left. And it was like I had to tell the mall management. I had to ask them to check the cameras. It was like just It was like, you don't know what's going on. It's crazy. It's like, anyway, let me just get back on the Orange Theory thing. So we're at my store. It's after hours. It's after I've closed down. I'm telling, because I waited for her to come from work because I really wanted to talk to her. I wanted to tell her what was going on. She took a couple videos and pictures. She's like, oh, I'll post it for you, whatever. And I told her what's happening and she laughed. And I told her, I feel like Paulo is like some sort of plant or something. Like, Paulo's a gang stalker. It's weird. And as she was laughing, I'm like, listen. And to be real, it wasn't even like a forced ha 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 you're crazy laugh. It was like, I think what you're saying is ridiculous. Like, it was like, it looked like a genuine laugh. Like, she could not help herself. And for me, I kind of thought, like, this is a strange reaction. I've always thought this is a strange reaction to someone telling you something like that. If someone told me something like that, I'd be horrified. So she laughs. We're done. I tell her, I'm like, it's not funny. She's embarrassed of herself now, but she leaves. Yo, the next day, this was around some holiday. Might have been Canada Day. Yeah, might have been Canada Day. This was around some holiday. The next day, I went to the LCBO. I walked in. 2 seconds later, Paulo's beside me with his ice grill. And he's like low-key following me in the LCBO. As if he's trying to threaten me or trying to say, Paulo, you're not a gunman, Paulo. And none of them are. None of them are. I don't see any single one of these people. None, not one. Because if I did, I would say it. I would tell you guys, and I would be much more deterred to be on camera talking about it. These are regular people. In fact, the assistant manager who was assistant manager at Orange Theory, when the store beside us closed down, Just Cozy was beside us in Oakville Place when that closed down. Who ended up working in the Root store beside there? So they pushed Just Cozy out, and I'm gonna go through it. I have a list of stories that I'm gonna come on here and tell. They pushed Just Cozy out of business, and then the store that opens up is the Root store. This is so crazy. At one point in time, I was in the store, and I guess I was in there a little bit too long talking to the manager, and they wanted to know what I was saying to the manager. Guess who comes up there shaking? The manager from the Roots downstairs. Then another employee from the Roots store. Then I remember I went to the Roots store, and I was going from store to store just asking, staff, like, hey, is there anybody that's working for you guys that needs extra hours? If you've ever worked in retail, it's a normal practice. Managers who need staff will go around the mall, because usually girls who work in the mall will jump store to store or be working multiple stores just to get their hours in, because we can't give full-time hours, but we might just need a shift here or there. So this girl, so I went to Roots was one of the stores that I stopped at, and I was just like, hey, if anybody wants to drop off a resume, we're upstairs, we're new to the mall, we need staff, etc., etc. First day I talked to this one girl, everything was fine. Next day I came in, and she low-key was just like, I didn't talk to you. I was like, yeah, we talked together, like I talked to you and you told me come back, etc., etc. And she pulls me to the side and she's like, that's my GM. And I was like, so what? The fuck does that have to do with anything? Like, it's just that normal for multiple people to work multiple places. But it was just the fact that in front of the GM, she didn't want it to look like we had had any interaction, which I found very weird, because again, like, just even being in two malls, like, you see GM, you see owner, you see this, you see that, it makes no difference. Like, people came in my store asking me if I can work hours in their store. Like, as the owner, I mean, I don't think all of them know I was the owner, but I used to say I was the manager, but it just doesn't matter. We go to job fairs, we're all like recruiting for people, and managers are trying to hire other managers. Like, that's how normal it is. Like, people are trying to pitch their company. So I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. Anyway, Roots got the contract. They came next door, and it's the same freaking girl who was working from Orange Theory Vaughan is now working in that store. And when we closed down and I wanted to take my sign off the ceiling, it's like she came and she's like, she must have said something to me about, are you sure you want to move here? It's so slow. And I was like, I looked at her and see, at this point in time, because this was much later, at this point in time, it's like, yo, don't talk to me, don't nothing. Like, I'm putting people in their place. So I looked over at her and I'm like, did I fucking talk to you? She's like, huh? I'm like, huh? Did I talk to you? Don't talk to me. She runs downstairs, runs to the other Roots employees downstairs, points upstairs at our store, points at me, and she says something and they're all looking over, and it's like this is how the story develops in your mind of all the shit that they do. Because you're in it long enough to see the garbage. So it's like, oh, maybe she thinks that I don't know what she's thinking, how she could not know that we're not closing down or whatever, but she's bad-mouthing, again, the store to whoever the employees are downstairs. Another thing that happens to me in that mall, some little girl says to me, oh, my drug dealer posted you on his Instagram. Huh? You're like 18, 17. What do you even... So me, as a mother, the first thing that I'm thinking is, why does this little girl have a drug dealer? I'm not even yet thinking, why are drug dealers posting my page? Because, listen, when you're being gang stalked, it's a whole bunch of confusing things all together that they don't make sense. Why is a drug dealer posting? I said, what did your drug dealer post? She said, and she said this in front of her manager, in front of her coworkers, everybody. I said, what did your drug dealer post? She said he posted, go check out Can Boutique, and happy graduation to everyone. At that time, we were being reposted by random pages all the time. Not Six Buzz. There's a page, when I remember who the page is, because they called our store. First, they DM'd us, then they emailed us, then they called our store. We'd like to give you free promotion. But when you go on the page, it's like heavy hip hop. It's like an urban page. And we're selling graduation dresses, prom dresses to kids. And I'm just like, this page had maybe 600,000 followers or whatever. Like, look, if something with like 300, 400, 500 followers, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 maybe max wants to post you for free, sure. But 600,000 followers, they want $2,000, $3,000 per post. Non-negotiable. Like, I know because I've solicited for advertisement on pages. There's influencers with 160,000, they're telling you 10K. People are crazy, okay? So for somebody to go that hard to hound me down, for them to post us, they wanted to really drive this narrative that I had something to do with selling drugs, to destroy my reputation in decent circles. They wanted to drive that point home. And it was like, oh, let's post her on this page that glorifies drug culture. Let's have these drug dealers repost her business. Let's do this, let's do that. And people come towards me and it's like, for me and for any logical person, when you're looking at who you advertise with, you have to look at what sales you're going to get from it. A page like that is mostly guys that follow that page, like that are into hip hop. I'm not going to get any sales from that. So I don't know what the angle was, but it was like, I literally had to say to them more than once, like, I am not interested. I'm not interested in you guys reposting me. And this has been a constant thing. And I've said it in more videos where it's like they want to stop the relationships that you're trying to build, relationships that are logical, and they want to come in with their relationships. And I'm assuming that's because they really want to control the narrative of like, you're only growing because of us. It's not enough that we don't want you to be with this person who's my ex. It's not enough. Now we want to control your life. Now we want to give you business, but it has to be our business. We want to send you models. They all look like hookers. They look like prostitutes. They look like streetwalkers. We want to send you all of this. It's like there was all this upset behavior when I stopped like selling clubwear and when I decided to market differently. And it's like now they're having a really hard time with sending people towards me because drug culture, they have people that look a certain way. And if I'm going in a different direction, it's like their customers are not interested in my dresses. They're not interested in the stuff that we're selling. So it's like, if you can have like sleazy clothes, then yeah, people want to buy it. And a lot of people are going to come buy it because that's what they're into. But as soon as you have like prom dresses and you're catering to another crowd, it gets a lot more difficult for people to come in and say, okay, we're going to buy this and that. So essentially people have to buy clothes that they will never wear. And they used to be bitter like that, coming in the store, and these girls used to be irritated at the cash, and they'd say it straight up. They'd be like, the amount of times in front of me and my kids, they'd be like, look at this. I'm just buying a bunch of stuff that I'm not going to wear. Look at this. I just spent $500 on stuff I don't want to wear. This was going on for so long that people were not just annoyed, but like visibly and audibly annoyed, and visibly and audibly like they weren't pretending anymore. They weren't love bombing anymore. They were irritated that they had to come to our store and spend money. And the whole time I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, why are you spending $500 on things that you don't want to wear? But I'm in a store and we're in a pandemic or whatever they wanted to call it. I'm not going to question it. If you want to spend $500 on a dress that you are not going to wear, that's completely up to you, ma'am. Like, cash or credit. I would like to bag you and have you leave. Like any other store. Like any other store, let's be fair. They don't really care why you're buying and what's the reason and whatever. We're trying to make a quota for a day. It is quiet in this mall, or it's quiet for the day. If this is my only sale, whatever. It took me a while to realize exactly what was going on and just how bad this was. And just how, bad this whole thing was. By the time I left Oakville Place Mall, that mall was like, the shoe guy down had already been taken over. They had gotten rid of the girl that I talked to at Just Cozy. The store was gone. They put the Roots in, the baby Roots upstairs on some temporary deal. I didn't stay. According to my contract, I was supposed to be there. So they were getting ready to subject me to all kinds of abuse. As soon as that girl left, I'm like, I'm out. I'm not staying here by myself. I'm not dealing with this crazy stuff by myself. And I'm going to make a whole video on just that, because there's so much that happened in the 2-3 months that I was at Oakville consistently. Prior to me being there consistently, it wasn't making any money, and I just had the girls there and we were trying our best, but I wasn't there often enough to see stuff. The 2-3 months that I was there, a zoo. It was a mess. But to circle back, because I didn't want this video to be so long, to circle back to what I was saying about Orange Theory. Orange Theory, 1,000%. The staff over there, 1,000% knew what was going on. The fact that she ran and told Paulo that I knew means that that girl knew. That manager knew what was going on. They were all in on it, the management. They definitely send their people to go work in certain places. I don't know if the ownerships are in on it or not. I'm not surprised if they are. And I'm going to tell you guys another story another day of someone I met at John Ferrer's shop. You guys would not, maybe I'm not going to say people would not believe. It's me who's surprised. I think people know. It's me who's shocked. Me who doesn't know. Me who's finding out for the first time that this exists. Me who was naive. I admit it. I was naive. I had no idea how the world works. So they 1,000% knew. They knew. As soon as they sent me a survey, an automated survey about why I left the gym, and I put that I was uncomfortable, and I didn't go into detail, and they stopped sending me surveys after that. Because they had been sending me a number of surveys up until I answered that one. And then I said I was uncomfortable. And so now it's kind of like, and this is the best way for me to describe it. The way that I feel now is like a hostage who escaped. A hostage who escaped a crack house where they were being kept with a bunch of other victims. But I'd been there long, so long, that I know everybody by face, by name, and all of that. And so now people are avoiding me. People don't want to come around. People who I've known my entire career of having my business for years don't want to talk to me. They are avoiding me. They don't want to watch my lives. They don't want to like my pictures. And it's like, I get the feeling they have to be forced to come towards me. One particular girl who I've known forever, always had a nice relationship with, the way she came into my store. Anyways, I'm gonna save this for that story for another day. There are stories on top of stories about the crazy stuff that these people are doing. And I think, to be honest, the only thing that makes me really feel better is just, and this is not like me, but the honest truth is, the only thing that makes me feel better is just knowing that it's not just me. Because I think it would be crazier to think that all of this just happened to me, and for what reason I don't know. I think God kind of knew, not kind of, but God definitely knew that that's how I was feeling like throughout everything. I was very confused as to like why I was being targeted. I was very confused as to like how people could know like I'm a good person, I'm a decent person, I'm so kind, I'm so nice. How comes it's happening to me? Like, what did I do? And so it's almost like God would put people in my path to show me like, no, it's happened to many, many people before you, and they're all nice. And the one thing that I feel like every single person who I came in contact with that was gang stalked has in common is that they're all very nice, soft-spoken people. They are all people who have very weak boundaries. And for me, and you know what, and I have to just say this, it's not that my boundaries were weak. It's that I don't see the value in having conflict. I constantly say this. Like, somebody wants to disturb your peace, and I don't see the point in me fighting with them. I don't see the point in me disturbing my day. And a huge part of why I never saw the point in me disturbing my day is because meditation is hard if you've ever done it. It's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to get good at. And to think that I've just meditated for the day and I've gone through all that sorry, I'm just plugging my charger in. I've gone through all of that, and then now as soon as I get to work, somebody's coming in here disturbing my peace and disturbing the zen that I just accomplished by meditating. Meditating makes you feel like how you feel like when you drink wine and you just get like a little tipsy from wine. It just makes you feel so mellow and so at ease, and it makes you less reactive naturally. It takes you a while. So it's like for people coming in and I've just meditated and I've just like prayed and I'm at peace, and now they come again and it's like it just disturbs my day, to be honest with you. And also, just to even like have your mind clear to deal with the kind of turbulence of like going through COVID, lack of staff, money coming in a weird way because the economy is so weird, this, that, and the third. It's like you have to be at peace. You can't be like worrying about like, you can't let just one little thing here or there disturb you. So it was always really important for me to just keep my peace. But they came at the wrong time, because it's like, that really gave them the impression that I'm a pushover, and I'm not a pushover. I just don't see the point. And it's like, and I don't like disturbing myself either. Like, I don't like the feeling of being upset, because once I get going, I find it hard to stop. And I know that about myself. I find it hard to stop. I feel like I just keep going and going and going, and I get upset. So it's like, I'm not really conducive to like forgiving people, because it's like, you really had to push to get me this far, and now that I'm here, it's like I don't think anybody in my life has liked pissing me off. It's just never worked out it just never has worked out for anyone. This is not a threat. It's not because I'm a bully. I know how I am. So it's like when people know how they are, say somebody overspends, they might have to work harder on like budgeting. And you might think this person's such a great budgeter, but they work so hard at it. So people might think, oh my God, she's so calm, she's so kind. I've had years of working at it. Plus, having like black clientele has been draining. And I don't care how nobody takes that. That's the truth. I've heard Indian people say that about Indian clientele. I've heard Spanish people say that about Spanish clientele. Everybody's tired of their own people because it's like they're the ones that come in and they'll haggle you and they'll complain and they'll this and they'll that, and there's always an issue. So it's like, if you want to be in business and you want a good reputation, you got to know how to handle it. You can't just be here flipping out for every little thing. Like, somebody calls you and they're flipping out. They're like, oh, I got this and da 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 da. And you have to be like, no, it's detachable. You can zip it. Don't worry. And they're like, oh, okay. And you have to take your time and explain it, because it's like, otherwise you would have just caused it an issue and a drama for no reason. So it's like, after going through all of that, it took these people like 2 years, and it really was like concerted effort. It was effort. It took these people 2 years for me to just finally be like, yeah, no, I'm not putting up with this bullshit anymore. I am not letting people walk up in my store doing craziness. When I went to Vaughan, it was like, I'm cussing customers out. I'm dropping F-bombs. I'm grabbing stuff out of your hands. Get out of my store. Then they learn, okay, we can't come in the store and come play these games anymore. If I could tell you one thing that you need if you're getting gang stalked, is boundaries with people. They will come in and they will play games. You got to put them in their place, and you got to do it loud. My mom has this thing where she will put people in her place, but she'll be exceptionally loud for no reason. Just so that other people can see, she can make a scene and embarrass people. Even if what she's saying is completely normal, like she's not being belligerent, but she's just talking extra loud. Excuse me, what did you say? What did you say to me? Did you say da 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 da? And the person has to calm down, brace, and step back. And that's how you have to deal with them. They push you. I thank God that I got my opportunity to come here and cuss people out and get my anger out and get it off my chest. I don't owe anybody kindness. They used to really depend on that, as if like I depend on people thinking I'm kind. I used to explain to people, and I explained to John Ferreira, I explained to Daisy, I explained to a lot of people back then. I said, look, I'm a good person and I'm a nice person, not for anybody else. It's for me. And I know spiritually why I choose to do that. I'm like, it's for me, not for anyone else. I've trained myself that way. So I think they used to think that I'm just being nice because I depend on people liking me because I'm nice. People can sense that I'm an authentic person and that I'm a good person. But I don't need people to think I'm nice. I don't owe anybody niceness. I don't owe anybody an angelic personality. Not when most people are demonic. I don't need to do that. I do that for me, because I have a good life experience, because I like myself, because I respect myself, because I feel good about myself, because I can stand and say I'm a good person and mean it. It's not for other people's benefit. It's not a strategy. Like, they started learning my personality to try to wear it like a little coat. Like, this man literally tried to, like, was practicing how to sound like me. It's the weirdest crap. And then use the same voice to talk to me. Like, I don't recognize myself. It's weird shit. Weird shit they play with. I'm telling you. So, but I don't do that stuff for anyone. I'm so happy that I got to come here. And, you know, I didn't even pray about it. I just let it rip. I let it be known. People coming into my lives talking about, you have a business page, you should shut the fuck up. I do whatever I want over here. And I don't care how anybody feels about it. I've endured a lot. And I could have handled it a lot crazier. I handled it with grace and with class. Because from what I've been going through, I should have already been handcuffed by now. From the abuse that I've taken, I should have already put one of them in the hospital. For the kind of abusive stuff they would come into my store and say and do. So I'm gonna go into that stuff in another video. I'm gonna leave it here. I'm gonna definitely tag Orange Theory and hashtag them and everything, so they could see, so they could know. Not that they don't know, but you know, I don't believe in telling my story and leaving out, oh, and there's this gym that I went to, and leaving anything to speculation, because I'm talking the truth. I'm speaking the truth, you know. And everybody that is involved, I'm pretty sure they're thinking to themselves, they're checking the YouTube like, when is she gonna talk about us? When is she gonna mention me? If you've abused me in any way, the stories, one way or the other, I'm talking about it. And I'm gonna hashtag your name when I post it too. So every time you Google your name, or some job somewhere Googles your name, they can see a YouTube video about what kind of fucking human being you are. Because one thing I cannot understand, and I still cannot understand it with the bribes, regardless of how much money you were offered, is what part of you didn't think this was illegal? What part of you did not think there's no way this is normal? What part of you did not think these people are mobsters, or this is some type of organized crime, or this is scary stuff? Like, what part of you didn't thought this would have been normal? In what world? As much as I start thinking, well, maybe they offered $1,000, and the person's like, oh, all I have to do is this. But to me, I'd be like, I'm not taking no $1,000 to be involved in no weird stuff. Irregardless, even when I was broke, I wouldn't take that. It's just scary stuff. You don't even know. Next thing you know, like FBI is calling you, or police are knocking at your door. We have you on camera doing this and that for $1,000. Like, it's just not worth it. I don't know. And these people all appear to be people who work normal jobs. But that's what they do. They come, they get hired at an establishment next to you or in your establishment. They cause chaos. And as soon as you start tripping out, then they rush and they leave the job. This person starts working at this optical store in the mall, comes to your store, buys something, sits outside of your store a couple days to watch what time you're leaving the mall. All of a sudden now they don't work there anymore. This is the kind of stuff that's been going on and on and on and on and on. But I'm going to leave it here. This is my Orange Theory video. I'm going to continue making more videos. And I'm really going to commit to coming on more than just once a day, because there's so much I have to talk about. And there's so many things. Oh, Sage Real Estate Group. Sage used to work at Orange Theory. If you guys can look at her name in there. Sage was one of the trainers, I believe, or was she working behind the desk? One of the two. And now she's doing real estate. So Sage would know who Paulo is, and they would know that Paulo doesn't actually fucking show up there every day like they say. Just a weird situation that I have participated in. But anyways, I'm gonna leave it here. And I'm going to post a link into the stories, and I'm going to link to the YouTube. And by the way, now we have highlights on the page of our Instagram where you guys can click it, and you can always get the link to the stories. And what I'll probably do is just link videos I've previously posted from the highlights into the stories, and then you guys can see the link in. So have a good night, and tune in again for the next lives that I do.